Welcome to the Superhero Lifestyle Podcast, where I, Stephen Summers, sit down with my business partner, Robert Rickey, and we talk about how to become successful online. We also talk about how to sell your own branded products globally and so much more. These are the exact conversations that we have all the time about how to become more successful in business and in life. So, hope you enjoy, and make sure to check us out on marketplacesuperheroes.com if you're not already a member. Let's go. Hello, Robert. I'm trying to do the Robert Wright thing. He does this thing. Do you know what he does? Is this? Have you seen him do this thing? I did it the other day. It's a brilliant move Robert Wright does, and I don't know how to. I have to kind of work on this move. But he goes, "Hello, hello, 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 hello." Yeah, he does this kind of move. It's good. It's good.
Is he boxing? Is he boxing?
No, he's not boxing. He's kind of clawing at the screen, oddly. But that's Robert Wright here, right?
Yeah. Well, next time I do one, I'm going to box him.
So Robert Wright, we need to learn your move, your signature move, and we change it up as well. So there you go. So what a great day to be here, Robert. It is, well, it's another day in lockdown, but other than that, it's a great day. Wouldn't you agree?
It's another day for you and me in paradise. As Phil Collins once said, a very, very wise man.
That's right. Well, there's loads of people commenting as always. We're training you all well. The one thing is a little bit disappointing are the amount of likes on this video. We got to get more likes, more loves. Come on, get them moving. Number one, and also do check in the comments. Say, hey, whatever you want to do that. And you want to know something, Robert? Before we get into the meat of today's talk, something wonderful happened just before we came on. I want to draw attention to this so everybody can see this. Right? Let me just share out my screen for a second. So we had this happened just 15 minutes ago. Now, AMAP, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing your name correctly, because no offense, but I'm not 100% sure. But if let us know in the comments if you're listening how I pronounce your name if I have it incorrect. But look where this guy is, right? This is UK sales just there. Now, he's only got going. So sales so far today, £509. Now, it's early in the day. So 4:43 p.m. So Robert, we could say that's half the day gone. Maybe he won't double it, but maybe he'll do £800 today. You know,
800, still over $1,000 in one day. So 4 figures in one day. It's almost like 4 seasons in one day. 4 figures in one day.
But I mean, just thinking about that, I think sometimes we could look at a result like this and go, "Well, it looks good, but is it that great?" And okay, it looks like he's had a real jump here in sales today. But if he can start to get to 750 sales a day, which will take a little bit of time, what that means is humongous. You're getting into over 200 grand a year in top line revenue, which is going to be over $300,000 in sales over the course of the year. You know what I mean?
One country.
It's a big deal, So I want to say a big congratulations to AMAP. And also I want to this is what today's whole stream is going to be just talking about things like this, getting into play. And he says here, I'm spending £2 in advertising per day.
Well done. That's fantastic.
That, and then Robert, that's the kind of thing that'll put excitement in you, right? It'll make your heart sing things like that.
It will. It'll turn hump day into win your Wednesday. That's for sure. But also,
right,
there's a big reason for that, and I haven't seen it. I don't know what the items are. I don't know into the advertising thing, but what I will say is that it's clear that the research being done there is so much better than having to start clawing at sales, right? Because that research has been done. That's a product that is in an area which does not need very much PPC. That's proven, right? Nobody can argue with that fact. If a map is spending £2 a day, 60 quid a month, and he's getting those sorts of returns, that product doesn't really need heavy advertising. But that is a goddamn Roots Research product, right? Because that's the products that Roots Research goes into delivering. It's right there in the material, Steve.
And you want to know something? It is a big congratulations, but also it's a good chance for a conversation with everybody who is in the comments cheering on AMAP. I think it's a great thing. Keep that going. Do cheer them on. But take a look at yourself now. That's what today we can chat about. It's like you don't want to be just cheering on people all the time. We want to be the ones cheering you on as well. And so that's obviously what we chat about a lot of weeks. We're going to chat about it again today, maybe in a slightly different way. And I think we'll have some fun. So
Well, also, like Phil Collins said it again. He said, "Will you take a look at me now?" Right. So that's you, right? Take a look at yourself. Take a look at me now, right? This is going to be the Phil Collins edition. I really do think that.
Right. Well, I thought you were going to bring the lyrics a little further on. You were going to talk about. Yeah, I thought you had a whole song written there.
Well, yeah, you know, he did say, "Take a look at me now. Where is your research at? You're not looking deep enough or segueing enough." And something else. Then he said after that, I can't remember the lyrics. I'll give him a ring. I'll get those lyrics.
It was the 80s, and Phil was he was very busy. He was able to foretell the future as well, which is
he was a visionary, an absolute visionary.
Absolutely, fair play to Phil. We love you, Phil, and the gorilla guy as well. Great.
Yes,
okay. So yeah, so you know, it was funny because I was watching Entourage, one of my favorite shows, and for anybody who doesn't like it, I don't understand why you don't like it. This is a great show. But it's about these different guys who are over in LA and they're living the kind of Hollywood lifestyle and all the rest. And what was kind of funny was they were all having this conversation. They had these walk and talks, as it's called, right? And actually, Entourage were one of the first shows on TV to master what's called the walk and talk. It's very difficult to do with a group of people talking. So anyway, they're talking about this whole thing of, you know, success and all this jazz, right? And they start going on about The Secret, the book The Secret, right? And this whole law of attraction thing. And there's a whole big joke about, if you never read the book The Secret, I can't believe you've not read it and all this. It's real. It's the real deal. And I actually remember then, it just got me thinking back to that book, The Secret, which a lot of people think is a lot of nonsense. I would say there's a good bit of nonsense in it, but there's a few things that are just true because it's just how life works about, you know, attracting things that you're thinking about. It's not just your thoughts that are attracting them. It's actually, you're going to go and getting them. You're going to go and do the thing. The thing is, Robert, that is interesting is the idea of The Secret, the law of attraction, right? Which, you know, I think we can make very practical. When you think about something in a certain way and you go after it, you actually you implement to actually make that thing happen. That's something that was hidden, was made secret. All these secret groups, you know, whatever, the Masons, all these people, they wouldn't tell people the simple reality behind this book. And it became the whole marketing angle of The Secret. As it just so happens, we know the person that marketed the book, The Secret, believe it or not, Robert, Mr. Dan Hollings. Remember Dan? He was the guy who did that. The point is, anyway, we were chatting today a little bit about this, and I think it ties in perfectly with what you were mentioning to me about the idea that money and things like that are secret, right? There's like a secret kind of like belief system around people that are successful with money, that people that have not been successful, it's either that it's not been shared with them, they don't believe it, they've not been told about it. And I think it's just a fascinating conversation. And my hope is we can just shed a light on some of the realities about money so everybody here today can learn it, most importantly, can benefit from that, you know?
Yeah, and I think it's our take on it as well. You know, we're not saying that this is what was said inside different books. It was our take that we were talking about today. And like the first thing that we're all taught in society by everybody else, right, is that talking about money is rude, right? And you'll hear that from absolutely everybody. Oh, you can't tell somebody how much your sofa cost. You can't tell somebody how much you earn, right? Because that's rude. It's rude to talk about it. Yeah. But like, where do we think that came from, right? For me, like, it came from the ruling class, right? It came from the elites in society. And I'm going back hundreds of years, right? You know, the guys and gals who were up on the manor in the stately home, and they had people who worked for them that did all the work, you know, the peasants, so to speak. And they infiltrated that by making sure that they were not speaking to each other, because that's how you control that element of society, by feeding them down rules that they can talk about this thing, but they cannot talk about that. It's rude. It's against this, probably against your God back in those days as well. And yeah, they had this fear factor of the people, and they would never talk between themselves. So therefore, if they weren't going to talk about money, they weren't going to talk about things, how in the name of God would they ever understand? How would they ever learn about money and how it's used? So the elite, you know, classes made that juxtaposition between themselves and the working classes, and the elite classes, they did with money what money is supposed to be done, while they made sure that nobody else understood what it was.
Well, absolutely. And first of all, in the comments, give us a 1 if you've had an interesting relationship with money, if people around you told you the same thing, if actually in some ways you understand and believe, yeah, like there's definitely things about money and about wealth that's just not being shared with us when we're growing up and stuff like that. Because I think the other thing about that, Robert, too, is that some people are saying it still happens today. And that's very true. And then people say things like, oh, well, we got to teach this stuff in schools. And I always say, yeah, but who's going to be teaching it? Because
but also the very structure of schools and formal education is against that, right? So you would have to break that first before you be able to talk about it, because it's like you're not even taught entrepreneurship in school, right? Why? Right? Because certainly, like, I grew up in the UK, right? And that establishment is set up to create civil servants. It's no different than the Republic of Ireland, Steve, as well, because it was in the British Empire and all those different things. And that goes back hundreds of years, right? So the whole thing was set up so that they could educate people in the way that they wanted to educate them, for them to become civil servants, to work for the government and bring home a paycheck. Go to work 9 to 5, bring home a paycheck. And that was what it was. And they were, brainwashed is the right word, into that way of thinking. And they were also made sure that all of those people, they had this thing where the pound sign was in front of the number, or the dollar sign was in front of the number, so that they could remove mathematics and numbers from the equation. There was then an emotional attachment to a tenner or a $20 bill. And it was done deliberately.
100%. This isn't a discussion about kind of like a conspiracy theory or anything like that. It's just a reality that, you look back to the 60s and 70s. We were just talking this the other day, and you have to consider that there was a tax on people of, 93% upper rate of tax, and it wasn't necessarily an income tax, but it was an upper rate of tax. So like you're talking about, 93% of your money been taken by the government, right? Which is crazy. Nowadays, upper rate of tax down here in Republic of Ireland is about 40% similar enough in the UK. But there's, of course, all these additional taxes in Ireland and all that, which they love to have in place and they love to put on us. But I think that's an interesting thing too. It's like, always the government or the kind of mass people out there of society, if let's just call it the average person, right? Which, it's the average person out there. They're happy to just go along with the tide. And where the tide brings them, that's where they're going to go. And it's the same thing with our belief system, or what we believe about money, what we think about money, or going along with the tide. But in order to become successful, Robert, as I've learned from you initially, and then we have honed and learned from other people as time has gone on, we live our lives by a very different set of rules. And so before we get into those rules, in the comments, I want you to just type in break the rules. Because in order to get to where you want to go, you must think very differently to how the average person thinks. And actually, you got to believe you're more than just the average person. And if the word or phrase average person offends you, well, you have to think about that. Why does that offend me? I don't see myself as being average. I see myself as being above average. I don't think I'm better than other people, but I do think I think differently. I also act very differently as do you, Robert. And I think that's a healthy thing. And it's a healthy understanding that we must think differently and we must do different things.
As Mo says there, Robert knows his facts. You're goddamn right, I do. You're goddamn right, because it's all education as well. I'm not sleepwalking through a day. I've got my eyes fully wide open to all of these different things that are going on. And people will then, as you say, Steve, this isn't a conspiracy theory type thing, but even that thing where being able to, throw that title at certain people is a trump card that these governments and all these different things and the elite use. They'll say, "Oh, you're a conspiracy theorist," and that's argument over. That's like, no, I'm just looking at the facts, my friend, and I'm questioning things, right? I'm questioning it. And the reason you're calling me a conspiracy theorist is because you do not want me to question it. And the reason you don't want me to question it, brother, is that you don't have the effing answer, right? That is the whole crux of the matter. And for me, it's like, It's thinking smart, right? It's thinking smart every single time. I said to you a wee while back, and we're really implementing this in a big way. We kind of always have, but we're really implementing it now, is living through your business.
Yeah.
And when you've got, the only way to live through a business is to have a business, right? That's, I mean, I know it's in the title, but it really starts to hone in. Whenever you can live through your business, you can actually break the rules. Now, I'm not saying you're going to do anything illegal. It's nothing like that. But whenever you look now, and you talked, Steve, about 60s and 70s, and the Labour government who had that 93% upper rate of tax, it wasn't just an income, as you say. But then what the governments did was they started introducing stealth taxes, right? We never had stealth taxes in the olden days, let's call it. Now we have beautiful, highly constructed stealth taxes. And whenever you look at even inside a business, right, and especially as a person, the stealth taxes, they would frighten the life out of you, right, when presented. So therefore, you've now got to start thinking smart. And I think that's something that I'm going to bring to people who have a business, right, who are in business. We will bring the option to think smart. I saw it inside my post the other day, Steve. Everybody asking for like accounting, how to account for my business, how to do bookkeeping in my business. And I took it on board. But you know what, guys? You didn't go far enough. Because accounting for it and bookkeeping it is fine. But what are you really doing with it, right? That's just accounting and bookkeeping. What you really want to know is how to use it correctly, right? So that you can get through all the different things that governments do, and how you can actually, you know, take over that situation and make that scenario, Steve, your own.
Yeah, well, and again, like that, there's different levels to this conversation. Like, you know, that level you're talking about, everyone can benefit from that, but certainly people who've got something up and running will benefit the most because they've got something that they can play with. When you've got nothing to play with, you got no products, you got no sales, you've got nothing. There's not much we can do there because we need to get you in the game. That's number one. And so the conversation today we're going to have, for those of you that are not already in the game, we want to get you in the game. For those of you that are already in the game, why don't you start thinking more intelligently? Because one thing I noticed, and I'm picking it up in our team all the time, and I pick on them all the time about this, Robert, is that like people, I'll be looking at something. It was a podcast interview, for example. I won't say who it was. I don't want to embarrass anybody. I was chatting to this person on the team, and they were like, "Oh, it's like $1,000 to get onto this podcast. So if it's a 30-minute long podcast, it could be $1,000 for 30 minutes." And I said to them, that's the mistake you're making, because if you only look at that as a one-sided conversation, a linear, well, it's $1,000 for 30 minutes. That's the mistake you're making. So the reframe is, well, what will that, not can, what will that buy us? What will it get us? What will that money get us access to? And let's say, for example, 60,000 people, Tracy's laughing, so there you go. She's showing her card. So 60,000 people, let's say 30,000 people listen to that episode. Then what you have to do is you got to look at that and say, so it cost me $1,000 to get in front of 60,000 people. That's a great investment. That's an amazing investment. So again, that's something that we're bringing to the team, to other people. We have to bring to you guys as well. And so looking at your business then, this is the big thing. The conversation we always have, Robert, is we're always having to have this conversation of like, you know, well, what's the least I can do? How can I manage my risk and all that? And I think that's one of the issues we have really is, and I'm reading this in a book at the moment, and I fully agree with it, that idea of risk, Robert, we've talked about it before. We're mitigating our risk all the time. But at the end of the day, if you're not prepared to take even a mitigated risk, you're never gonna change your situation. You're never gonna get to experience what you're talking about, you know, being smart with your money, growing something of your own, doing these big things, right?
Yeah, and look, if you're not prepared to take a mitigated risk in this business, then go ahead and take the biggest risk of your life, which is doing sweet FA and staying where you are. That's the biggest risk that you can possibly have. I've been talking about this with a number of people this week in a different project, and their whole thing is, like moving into business for themselves is such a big risk. And I said, how is it a big risk? staying where you are in a job is the biggest risk that you have, because you're not going to go anywhere, right? Sure, you might get people say, oh, well, I might get promoted and I might make this. Yeah, but you're not going to do anything, right? You're going to be the same slave to the paycheck as you always were, right? So that is the biggest risk that you can ever possibly have. But talking about like thinking smart too, like Andrew has just made a comment in there saying that he made his daughter a director. Thank you, Robert, right? That is like a 40 to 50,000 plus saving over a period of time just by Andrew listening to that one little snippet that I said. It was really, really easy. It's that thing as well of like people would say to me, how much is it to book half an hour of your time? That's crazy. That's a crazy value that you would pay. And it's like, yeah, but whenever you can deliver these sorts of things, it's a fraction, right? It's an absolute fraction. So being able to take that whole thing, bring people together into a think smart sort of session. And I'll be completely honest with you, Steve, it won't be for free. Why should it be? Why should it be for free? I've taken 20, whatever, 4 or 5 years learning all this thing. People can get all of that information in a number of 1 hour sessions. We're going down right down through. Your business would thank you for it. Your business would say, invest in that in order to save over here. So I'm happy to give you the information, Andrew. I'm super happy that you took it and you did that. You just did your daughter one of the best tax saving things ever that you'll ever come across.
I love that point. And it's a vital one, because a lot of people go into business and they say ridiculous things. And this is taught as well by other so-called experts. The idea of just be a sole proprietor. Just do that, right? Now, the reason that's been taught that way, being real with everybody here, is because most people don't want to go through the effort of setting up a company or contacting people to set up a company. Now, if you can't, and this is a Robert Ricky line, if you can't be bothered to set up a company, you don't deserve the rewards of having a company, right? Because you're lazy, right? Simple as that, because you're not even setting up the company. You're telling somebody else to set you up a company. So when we look at that, when you have a limited liability company, typically, different countries, it might be a little bit different. Okay, sole proprietor, the business is you, you're the business. There's the risk element, all that, which we talk about, Robert. But in my opinion, the bigger thing is you don't have a vehicle. You don't have a wealth producing, a wealth growing vehicle if you don't have a company. Because again, anybody in regular society out there, they don't, like, how many times, and give me a 3 if you've ever heard anybody talk about a tax write-off in your life. How many people have heard that before? Give me a 3. Because here's what's interesting. Well, I'll just tell you.
Oh, sorry.
I'll just tell you. What's interesting about that is my dad, and my dad's great, but he was always going on about tax write-offs, so she can write that off. And I actually said to him one day, I'm not trying to be funny, Dad, do you know what a tax write-off means? Do you understand what that means? And he said, well, you just write it off against your tax. And I said, not quite, like, right? And again, I wasn't being mean. I was just asking as a matter of interest. And it's not his fault. It's not been taught out there. Reality is a tax write-off. What is it? It means it's an expense in your business. It brings down your net profit. You pay marginally less tax because your profit is down. You get tax on your profits. Very simple, simple point. And obviously it gets more complicated than that. But even that level, Robert, people don't even know what that means. But yet they talk about it like it's something they get, you know?
Well, that's going to be the first 2 slides of my Think Smart workshop, right? I wasn't even going to do that. I wasn't even going to talk about this today, but it's like this is required. It's as simple as that. Those are going to be the first 2 slides where we're going to look at effective tax rate, right? Very, very important, as well as that whole idea of tax write-off. I hate that phrase, tax write-off, because it makes people think that it's something which it isn't, right? It's as simple as that. And you know why it's been done? Because that's what they want you to think, right? They're telling you this, right? And you know this very well, Steve, because whenever we, back in the day, I would say about 10 years ago now, actually, maybe even longer than that, but it's like, I remember there was a business that was very close to us, local business. I did a lot of aerial installs and repairs, not so much the TV stuff, more like the sort of more commercial, industrial style. And at the end of the year, you could plot it like a book, right? All of a sudden, these new vehicles would weigh in.
Oh,
right?
yes. I remember well.
And we turned around and we said, oh, here, the new vans are fantastic, look really good. Did you need to upgrade them or whatever? They said, no, it's the end of the tax year. And I looked at them and I went, so you've actually gone and bought a new vehicle in order to write a percentage of that off against tax, because you've heard tax write-off. And these people were experienced, right? Older people. And they did it over and over and over again. And it's like, man, dear, what are you doing, right? It's like the governmental grant system. Do you think that the government are giving you free money? If you do, I think there's something wrong with you, right? Yeah. It's designed to take money from you, my friend. It's designed to take money from you. Whenever you understand how to keep it correctly and put it into play, we saw somebody quoting us earlier on, don't put it away, put it in play, but you put it into play for yourself, right? And then money attracts itself to its other friends called other money, and then it becomes a greater asset, right? Money is a magnet. So therefore, it doesn't like sitting on its own. It likes sitting in other places where money hangs out. And it comes from that phrase, which has been shoved down your throat as well. Money goes to money, right? But that phrase is correct, and it's now misused. So people will use it in that money goes to the wealthy. No, money goes to the wealthy because they have their money in play. That's the reason. That's the fact.
Money goes where it can multiply the easiest. It's as simple as that. So, with ourselves, the crazy thing, I would say, Robert, is as we become more financially successful as a company, and obviously personally as well, we are much more aggressive in our investing now than we ever were. Whereas, you know what happens with most people? They go the other way. Start making some money. They start taking it out of play. And I keep saying it. It's called cash flow for a reason. We talked about this on one of our podcasts recently, which, by the way, guys, get over to Spotify, Superhero Lifestyle Show, Apple, wherever you want to listen to it. It's all
Perfect
there.
Plug. Perfect plug there.
Perfect plug. But it's called cash flow for a reason. So even with an Amazon business, like I think Kabir said it perfectly on our coaching call last Thursday. He said, it's really hard to lose money on an Amazon product when you do your investment, when you do your research correctly. I'd agree with that. Now, it's not guaranteed. Obviously, can't legally do that. But the caveat is when you do your research correctly. So what most of the world is trying to do, they're trying to avoid investing. Robert and we're trying as hard as we can to invest more into more things, because we know the reality and the truth now, which is when you've done your research, when your business is set up correctly, when you know what you're doing, you're going to multiply your money. Because here's a good example of this, Robert, right? Let's imagine we invest, let's just say a new business, just pick an easy number, 100 grand into a new business, right? So that goes in. Now, if we left that money in the bank, we didn't invest it, we would be actually we would be less than 100 grand off at the end of the year.
About 97, 98 grand.
Because we have inflation and we don't get any interest in the bank whatsoever. And in certain countries, you have to pay the bank to leave that money in there, which is absolutely hilarious. But that's reality. So then what actually we don't panic about, but what we get concerned about is, crap, we're leaving too much money sitting here doing nothing, And that's something you have to look at in your own life. If you're not where you want to be financially, my question to you is really simple. How much have you got invested right now in assets that are multiplying every single day? And for most people in the world, the answer is not a whole lot. So for all of us here, we're going to start thinking more intelligently. David Greenberg, he's late now in the evening. He said it well here. He's up early in the morning. You have to invest into assets. I think assets, let's get that typed in here. That's what we have to start focusing on. Assets is where we want to be, Robert, and we want to have a vehicle to invest in those assets. So if you don't have a company, just so you guys know, and I actually didn't even think we'd be talking about this, it just has gone this way. We actually can help you set up an LLC in the US. Not sure we can do the UK, Robert, or can we do we have anything for that now? We do that, right? With the software is active and all right now. I know there was some issues with it. That's all good now. Perfect. Do the UK as well, obviously, as well as the US. So if you have any problems there, we're here to help you.
I've also, just on that point, completely off topic, but I do have a special guest coming on as well from Canada, because a lot of people were asking about it. You ask, we deliver. It's as simple as that. But also, a lot of people talking about, you said about having assets, Steve, and putting money in. Everybody will put money into their mortgage. Nobody's got a problem with that. Right? It's like, I'll saunter down to the bank. I'll get a mortgage. I'll put money into my house. I'll put money. It's an asset, right? Okay, it's an asset. It's an asset that general places will grow between 3 to 5% a year, right? At the minute, Northern Ireland's housing market, the quote the other day was, it's booming. It's booming. Because year on year, it went up by 5.3%. If that's a boom, if that's a boom in Northern Ireland, it's not a very big one. There used to be a lot bigger booms. But it's like, if that's a boom, I'm in the... my mathematics are absolutely off the chart. It's like, take the money from there and put it into something which doubles in a year. You could screw up like 10 products, and if you got the 11th one right, you would actually be doubly better off than investing in a house. Like, that's just mathematics, right? So your house price, and let's say the house price was guaranteed to go up 5%, right? Guaranteed, which it isn't. And there was no additional fees or any of these other things you have to pay to set up a mortgage. Your 100 grand would go up by 5, right?
Yeah.
If you took that, right, and you invested it, and all that you did was got a 10% increase because of your product portfolio, you'd be at 110 grand, right? So it's just irrefutable mathematics, as always, Steve. It's talking into those things and really looking and thinking really, really smart.
100%, and I would say as well, like, we're in a very interesting time because there's things like Bitcoin are going out of control right now. And, Bitcoin's an interesting thing. It still hasn't actually been revealed whether or not it's a scam. We'll soon find out in the future. There's all these other coins. What you're finding is a lot of people are running to those places now. Trading on YouTube is incredibly popular. All these things are really popular. Here's one of the things as well, Robert, I think is interesting. A lot of people are investing post-tax money into things like the stock market and stuff like that. And they think they're doing the right thing because they're told that, right? But then what if we were to tell you investing post-tax money into things like that is silly? With that, people would go, what? No, it's just the only way. It's not the only way.
No. And what I would do is I would challenge everybody, right? I was going to go back and get the quote from it, because the other day I was watching, great film. I love the film because it's sort of mathematical and all that crap. But it's Margin Call, right? Zach Quinto and Paul Bethany and a couple of other littered with great actors and actresses, all in the Demi Moore's in it as well. And it's all about the financial crash. And whenever you listen to the guys, right, and it's the scene where Paul Bethany is driving back out of Brooklyn, back over to the office, and he's just delivering the facts of what's happening to the younger sort of junior guy in the office. And if you truly listen to that, you would never buy another share again, right? Or you look at the likes of the Wolf of Wall Street film, you would never buy another share again, because realistically speaking, the whole way right through, it really is Schmucktown, like, because you have no control over any part of it. You have no control, right? Yeah. If you're the Sultan of Brunei, right, then you can impact the share price. Or if you are in that, then you can impact the share price. Otherwise, you're taking the biggest risk that you could ever possibly take, which is depending on another outside company, which you got nothing on, right? Which is really interesting, Steve, because that brings me around the conversation that we had this week, which, again, we weren't going to talk about this for months, but maybe we float the boat. I don't know.
Maybe
you know where I'm going?
Well, is there a hashtag float the boat, and we'll see how many we get? If the boat's going to float, we get it going. What do you think?
Yeah, because it's like it's having that thing where you have a margin of control, right? A margin of control. You have a connection to the company. You have all those different things. You can see things in black and white. You see where it is. It is small enough for you, right? Because if you invest in Microsoft, right, or Tesla, or any of these other things, the companies are absolutely massive, right? So therefore, you will never have any impact. You'll never be able to read what they're saying. You'll never be able to see what they're doing. Whereas if you can get involved in something which is smaller, but still from your side of things, is a great investment, that makes a hell of a lot more sense, Steve. And that starts with everybody's Amazon business here. That's where it starts. But there is another option, isn't there?
Yeah, well, I just see J-Lo has said float the boat. So if J-Lo is saying float the boat, you're going to have to let everybody know what you're thinking. And by the way,
sure Jennifer gets that quite a lot. And we do apologize, Jennifer, but it is fantastic to be in such an illustrious company.
I've just never met anybody with that name, and so I think it's great. But anyway, we'll stop after this one, Jennifer. Don't worry. But I would also say we'll talk about that right now. And also, I would say we never come on to Win Your Wednesday with a grand plan. The odd time we have a webinar or something like that, just so you know, there's no grand plan today. Robert is going to talk about something now he probably shouldn't talk about, but we'll let him talk about it because we got a lot of float the boats. So we got a competition going as well, I think, in a couple of minutes, Robert. But you go ahead.
Yeah, just to sort of tell you how little in terms of grand plans. We had some slides today. We might have to leave those to next week, Steve.
We might get to those yet. Yet.
Okay, well, we might. But yeah, we were just chatting through, myself and Steve, as well as a couple of people who do a lot of sort of tax stuff, accounting stuff, and everything else. And we came across this idea and we've seen people talking about, not directly it, and I was really hoping that somebody would put this into my post the other day about what could we do for you. And nobody did, but I was kind of really hoping that somebody would. And I was wanting somebody to put in, is there a way that we, as in our community, us all together, could invest in the superhero network, right? So marketplace superheroes, superhero freight, solutions, design, all of that different stuff. Is there a way that we could invest as a community into those companies, have a share of those profitable companies, while also then retaining a control and a vested interest to make every single thing grow? And I thought that is potentially the best style of affiliate thing that you could ever have, right? Because you can buy shares, let's say, right, in a company that you know where it's going, you can see everything, you have control over it, and you also have the ability and control to grow it with every other person. And I just thought that is something that we really, really have to look at, right? And it's, sorry, Steve?
Well, I'll tell you, you're investing in a good company because we're growing at a rate that is quite incredible. And
it's the right time as well.
Yeah, and one of the big reasons we're growing so much is because of you guys. You're out, you're trading, you're making things happen. We've had tons of people asking us. And here's a nice thing. It's not so much going public, which is lovely, but it's a different way of doing things. And it's something we've been chatting about. So, imagine this, superhero freight, we shipped 2 million items last year. We'll ship 6 million this year. That's a good thing to invest in. Much better than all these other nonsense companies.
Also, just as on superhero freight, right, which causes myself and yourself a problem, Steve, causes Melissa and Keith and Yaki and Lisa a problem too, is the level of like storage that people do is going up year on year by 132%.
Yes,
that's a bit of an issue, right? But we've come up with a lot of plans because we know our shit. It's as simple as that. We know what we're doing here.
Well, I'll float that boat then.
You float your boat, I floated mine.
Let's float another boat. So we had another idea. So I'm gonna run a competition.
And these can go in tandem, Steve. There's no issues.
We have another idea we are looking at whereby, and I'm going to give Clyde Goulet Goulet.
Shout out, Goulet, yeah, from Mr. Florida. Mr. Florida, 1997.
I know Clyde well. He's been at a number of events of ours. And I was at an event of ours, would you believe, in Houston a few years back. And Clyde said to me, he said, I have a lockup in Florida. Would you, if you want to use it for freight, feel free. And of course, I was like, thanks very much. But, it didn't really fit at the time. But superhero freight is growing at such a aggressive pace now. It's a little bit like the algorithm over at YouTube, where they actually don't know how the algorithm works anymore because it's got a mind of its own. And I think freight's going a little bit like that now in that it's growing so rapidly. So we are looking at the idea of partnering with some of you in a way, not a direct partnership, but you would have your own warehouse. You'd rent one, you lease one, whatever you want to do, buy one, whatever you want to do, and become a partner, franchise partner with Superhero Freight, whereby you would own and control a warehouse, and then the members that are in your warehouse, not only would you obviously be paid a portion of the storage and whatnot, you'd also be paid a portion of if those clients went on and did different services. So if they did some translations, if they did some listings, some images, things like that, it makes sense to give you a little bit of that because you're helping store those things. You're helping now those businesses grow. So we are looking at a way whereby we can partner with some of you in different countries. And another, like in the US, for example, like we would need a number of warehouses over the next couple of years in North America. So how cool would that be? Give us a partner in the comments if that would be something that might be interesting to you. So let us know because
it certainly seems like, Steve, we've got a lot of people who are extremely interested in investing in marketplace superheroes. That's for sure, right? Like a crazy amount. Now, there would be certain specifics. There would be some qualifying things here. We're not talking about a couple of $100, right? But on the other side of that, as well as whenever you own part of a company, that company pays out dividends, right? So you've got your investment, because companies are really good investments, actually, as the proper way of doing it. You own part of that company anyway. That thing can be sold at a higher price in the future as well. But also you get paid out dividends. So by holding that there, that company performs, you get dividends out of that company. And dividends is one of a really efficient tax structure as well, when done correctly too. So that's an interesting thing to do inside that ThinkSmart.
The partners are going mad, so that's very interesting. And as well, it just makes sense because for us, like a few things on that. We have a big team now, but even though you have a team, our team is amazing, but you also need people to have a real eye on certain things. So if you're running a warehouse, you need people to have a real eye on that. Don't have a ballpark figure to Facebook user. Not sure who you are. I can't see your name. But we don't have a ballpark figure really on that. Although Robert might have something, but
I'll give you a ballpark. I'll give you a ballpark figure. It'd be 5 figures.
Yeah, there you go. Very ballpark. But I mean, it would be akin to investing in like a. Yeah, it would be akin to investing into a franchise actually, and it's a different level.
Yeah, and it's like it would be a hell of a lot less than, or certainly a hell of a lot better than investing in a Corolla, right? Put it that way, because it doesn't rust depreciate. You're actually investing in a business. But if that's for everybody that was sort of saying, yeah, I'm in, and whatever I've said, 5 figures doesn't frighten you, just give me a 5 figures in the chat box. Brilliant. That was maybe a 5 fingers, but give me a 5 figures inside the comments box.
Well, because realistically, that's what these kinds of things are. But the other side of it too is that there's the back end revenue and the back end profitability is really where these things are. Because you're partnering, you're getting a slice of what those clients are doing. And it's cool. So there you go. Look, no fear. They're all going mad. So very interesting. 2 very interesting facts. So we'll have to run a competition now, Robert, of some sort. What will our competition be? What will we giving away today? Something different or the same again? What do you think?
Let's see. That's enough talk about the IRA there, Michelle. I was only joking. It's an IRA in America. I know that. That's all good. Let's see. Oh, what have we got? Maybe we should ask the audience. Be like Chris Tarrant. We'll ask the audience, what would you like us to give away today?
Yeah.
Is it water ball? Is it merchandise? Is it, you know,
be real? Be real.
Some tickets to the Think Smart webinars. I don't know. No idea, Steve.
We'll have to wait and see what everybody says.
We're not giving away stock in MPSH, just in case anybody suggests that. Really, that'll be a really good sort of cheeky thing for sure. But we're not doing that. That's
okay. So they're starting to come in now. Trip to Loch Earn is not on the cards tonight either.
On the cards today.
Not late. Robert's not been drinking. It's not happening.
Yeah.
Let's see what
we will do that again because, you know, I don't give a damn. It's like you can take some, because people look at it the wrong way. It's the same thing. It's like, exactly. You know, whenever we would do all those things, right? So we put down some money on a plane ticket. We put down some money on a hotel. You know, it's not a massive investment by us in you, right? And that's what it's all about. So that whole thing is reciprocal, 110%.
I would have to say, Robert, the CBM is 100% the biggest I've seen there by CBM, a mile.
Right. So if we as marketplace paid Superhero Freight for a cubic meter of CBM so that you could ship like a trial order or something like that, does that sound a good idea, Steve?
Well, 1 CBM, how do you guys feel about that? That cool? I think it's pretty cool. I mean, it's the shipping prices are pretty expensive right now, so I think that's a very fair deal.
Saw some frightening prices from some other freight forwarders, people losing their minds. Was it $2,700 for 1.9 cube or something, did I see?
Geez, that's unbelievable.
Yeah, well, I know it's a fact because I get the bills in that we pay on the 40 footers. And believe you me, they are eye-watering compared to 5 years ago. Like they are. Like I actually thought whenever the bill came in, I thought, what are we shipping here? Merch? Like what's inside these containers? It's like Ferraris, or is the container lined with gold? I have no idea, you know. But hey, it's the way at the minute.
The way it goes. All right, so Robert, then we have CBM. 1 CBM is the prize, and we now need a question to go along with the prize so that we can pick a winner. So,
okay, what was the percentage of the higher top rate of tax that me and Steve were talking about earlier on? Right, everybody should remember that, right? And then you can do your spin that wheel.
Let's see if I can help anybody with that.
If Paul Mooney's listening, spin that wheel, Paul. Spin that wheel.
Let's see if I can help anybody with that.
Like, I tell you, I see if I'd done that, there'd be uproar, right? Uproar.
I knew not everybody would know it, though. I knew they wouldn't all know it.
Yeah.
Although you did do that before, if you remember.
I've done it many times before.
So I
normally do it at live events. To help people out, you know.
Yes. Well, there's still people getting it wrong, interestingly. So there you go. The people must not be looking at the screen. I did only flash it on the screen, in fairness. But okay, we're going to give you another like 10 seconds or so to get those answers in, and then we will go. I have to pick a right winner. So what I'll do, Robert, is when we're scrolling up and picking the winner, it'll be whoever was nearest correct answer, because if it was like 40, that's the incorrect answer. So
it's got to be a 93 whenever you spin.
Although that might even upset people, who knows? So they're coming in thick and fast, these comments. Let's see where we're at on the comment front. We are now at
you're the host, Steve, so you decide. That's how this works.
Yeah. Well, we're at 1.1 thousand comments now.
Also, so you cannot win prizes if you are an anonymous Facebook user. You must sign up for the StreamYard so that we can see you. You've also got to comment, right? That's for sure. You got to comment so that you can win the prize. These are really simple things.
But when I scroll up and land on you, I'm going to share your image on the screen here, so we're going to see who you are. So, all right, Robert, here we go.
Away your image rights. You're not getting paid.
Here we go. Here we go. Okay, I'm going to scroll now.
I need a drum roll effect.
It stopped on Francesco. An Origin member also. I know that. So there you go. There's no weight to the Origin thing at all. I just know Francesco is an Origin member. I probably know way too much about too many of you because we care so much. So Francesco, you're the winner of the 1 CBM. I'd like to confirm that. along with today's newspaper.
Yep.
And so you need to email support@marketplacesuperheroes.com. Say you were the winner of today's Win Your Wednesday for 1 CBM, and we'll get you a coupon or something like that, or we'll add it into your account. It'll get passed on.
We'll get it added in. It'll probably just take about 48 hours, Francesco, to add it in. But well done for signing up for StreamYard so we could see who you were, getting the right answer, which is even better, and then for winning the prize. Well done, sir. You
did it all. So you're getting lots of congratulations, which is fantastic. So, today was a really interesting call. I will make this actually, I'll make a lot of this, I think, a podcast episode. A lot of people were saying that. I think as well, in the comments, let us know. That would be a good question. Just type in podcast if you would like for us to make some of the Win Your Wednesdays a podcast as well. We can put it onto the podcast so you can listen to these things later on. I'd be interested in that. We've also got some really cool things coming down the line. We're going to take all the Win Your Wednesdays, get them all transcribed and stuff like that. We're going to turn into this big file full of knowledge, full of stuff, which we're really excited about as well. But we'll see if we get some podcasts in there. We're getting podcasts. So there you go. I'll do that.
I think it's a great idea because whenever we're doing Win Your Wednesday here, it's a stream. You kind of got to sit down or at least have your phone out and watch, right? But actually, the vast majority of it is audio, right? So taking that into the car or in your headphones or wherever it is, you can sit back and listen to us two idiots talking. But maybe you could slow it down a wee bit. You can put it in, minus 1.5 so you can understand us and all that stuff. But I really do think it's great because then you can take that on the road with you. That's where I actually listen to a lot of podcasts whenever I'm driving. I'm not really a music guy in the car for some weird reason. I like sort of more talk radio, talk sport if I'm feeling like I'm disconnecting and I want to listen to some transfer or football or whatever. But if I'm tuned into something and I'm on a bit of a roll, I'll do a podcast in the car. I think it's really, really, really good.
Well, what North Dean says, all what you guys say is valuable. So there you go. I think you're correct as well. So thank you very much.
I think that was the correct answer. Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So we'll put these into the podcast. We'll put them on as an additional podcast during the week. We're actually going to be adding in a lot more episodes into the podcast. We're going to start taking different things like Friday Fire and things like that and putting it on there as well. So we really want you guys listening to that. Also, remember, we have got great YouTube stuff coming up all the time. Great video on Monday, which you really have to go and check out. It's an excellent video from the Ultimate Team. Video coming up for myself tomorrow. Cool research video. Lots of things coming, and lots of more ways we're looking at for to have you guys help us grow this community into an even more special place. And we want to be able to share the wealth with you guys as well. Working on a lot of different cool things. Got Martin on our team who's going to be working on some of those things too. So we'll be doing some streams about that, showing you how we can, we can share the wealth together. You can help us build a better community. We don't have to give as much money to Lord Zuckerberg and the boys. We'd rather give you guys that money. And, that's something we want to do. We want to have more people just like you coming in here because we need more and more great heroes so we can keep on building a really special community. It's already very special, but it's going to get even better as we have more and more cool people come in here. Because I think an interesting thing, Robert, was what Keith said the other day, about even the warehouses now. The warehouse team noticed this, that, more and more products are being reordered now. The community's getting better now. And I think that was really, really exciting.
Yeah, it's looking at stats and seeing that and seeing the people who did something a little while ago and are now, you can see that maybe they had one or two products a year ago. Those two products are being reordered now all the time. You see them popping up and we see the stats, but those people are also now adding. So they're now adding in new products. And they're really rocking. It's also I can see a lot of sort of weird cryptic sort of hashtags coming in there, like low down, high up. I hear like we are PCOM. So to all you guys inside PCOM, I want a hashtag PCOM inside the comments. I'm going to see all of you special people later on tonight. I'm going to have the other Robert, the better looking Robert, the one with the weird sort of claw and all that sort of jazz. Yep, the more sort of legally represented, my legal counsel, my fellow superhero, Mr. Robert Wright. We're gonna be jumping in there, which is gonna be fantastic. I'm really looking forward to getting that going as well. But I will leave on this, Steve, as well. It was a bit of a funny thing that we were talking about in terms of like people having a share inside Marketplace Superheroes Network as the entire group.
Yeah.
What we kind of briefly mentioned tonight. Now, we always like to have a wee bit of fun in business as well. And we were talking the other day, and I was literally like, this was a serious meeting, right? A serious meeting with serious people and all of the rest. And I came off it like my mouth was sore laughing and everything else. And I'm really intent in doing this. It's like anybody who is a shareholder in Marketplace Superheroes, right? So whenever you buy into a company, you'll get like a boring digital file now. Right? It's not even physical anymore. You get a digital file to tell you that you have a share allocation or a share certificate. So we're talking about, you can get the old school ones, with the wax stamp on it. We thought, hey, that's pretty cool, right? You can buy those and you can do this, that, and the other. And then we said, well, what about if you designed one that was like a whole superhero thing? It's still completely legal. It's got your thing. Then we said, well, why don't we put it on a T-shirt, right? Put your share certificate on a T-shirt that you can wear around. And then inside your share, your director's box, the sort of thing that you would get, you get a cape as well and a mask, right? And then whenever we're all having our AGM, and somebody mentioned about having a seat at the boardroom table, if you're a shareholder, you go to the AGM, right? Simple as that. Now, our AGM is not going to be in the Hilton or somewhere like that. It's going to be somewhere a lot more cool where we can all chill out. Yeah, somewhere like that. Down in the lock, we'll go down and do something like that. That'll all be pretty cool. But we'll all be sitting there, and there'll be other people will be saying, who are those mental cases with the capes and the masks and the funny T-shirts on? And the person will say, those guys there, they run a $30 to $40 million business. And then the last question will be, why do they all seem drunk? Oh, see the question or the answer to the previous question. That's why. That's why.
Exactly. So yeah, look, it's a real honor to do these guys, and I'm really looking forward to that. It's gonna be a lot of fun, and I look forward to getting back into person again. That's gonna be great. But look, that was a really fun Win Your Wednesday. Thanks so much for being here, everybody. A big peace out to y'all, for our Texas friends. Yeah, and there you go. All right, guys, take it easy, and we'll talk soon. And those of you in PCOM, hope you enjoyed tonight. I'll be on some of the later trainings, and the guys are going to kick ass tonight, so I'm looking forward to hearing how that goes.
And for everybody who's investing in the Superhero Network, I'll see you there. I'll see you with the cape on. See
you in the boardroom. Well, it won't be a boardroom. See you in the huge area, because we're going to have I think we're going to have a lot of investors, so that's going to be interesting. All right, thanks, guys.